On my wedding day, when my brother introduced me as the failure of the family, no one knew that I had a check in my purse worth 10 times Madison's annual salary. That night, everything would change. My name is Ashley Williams. I'm 32 years old, and today is one of the most important days of my life. But it wasn't what I expected. My wedding day would be both the day my dreams came true and the day a secret I'd kept hidden for 10 years was revealed. When I woke up at 7 a.m., the first thing I felt in my small apartment in Los Angeles wasn't excitement, it was anxiety. Today, I was marrying David Rodriguez, the love of my life, the man I'd been with for 5 years. But my real worry wasn't the wedding ceremony. My worry was my family, especially my sister Madison Williams Peterson. Madison is 3 years younger than me, 29 years old, and someone who has had everything handed to her on a silver platter her entire life. She works at my father's law firm, makes $80,000 a year, and thinks she's the most successful person in the world. Most importantly, she constantly sees me as the failure sister. As I was getting ready for the wedding, my phone rang. It was my mother, Patricia Williams. "Ashley, sweetie, how are you today? Are you excited?" My mother said, her voice tinged with that familiar tone of worry. "I'm fine, Mom, just a little nervous," I said, taking my wedding dress off the hanger. "Madison and Richard will be here soon. Madison has prepared a special speech for the wedding ceremony. She's really excited about it." Oh my God, I thought to myself. Madison's speeches usually ended up being self-congratulatory and making me look bad. "Great," I said, feigning enthusiasm.
My mother paused. "Ashley, I have to ask you something. You're sure you're okay with all the wedding expenses, right? If you need any help."
"Mom, everything's taken care of. Don't worry." It wasn't a lie. Everything really was taken care of. But my mom didn't know that I had paid for everything from my dress to the flowers, the venue, and the food, and not just the wedding expenses, much more than that. At 11 o'clock, as I was getting ready to go to the hairdresser, the doorbell rang. It was David. "Hello, beautiful, how are you?" he said, kissing me. David was 34 years old, an environmental engineer at the city hall, an ordinary but kind-hearted man. He accepted me for who I was, and that was something I found rare. "I'm nervous," I said honestly. "I'm thinking about what will happen when my family arrives." David held my hands. "Ashley, today is our day. Don't let anyone make you feel bad, okay?" I nodded, but what I was thinking was very different. There were things David didn't know, big things. At 2:00 p.m., wedding preparations were underway in the garden of the Rosewood Hotel in Beverly Hills. It was a wedding for 50 people, and every detail was perfect. White roses, crystal chandeliers, tables decorated with gold leaf, everything was just as I had imagined. But the cost? $75,000. And no one knew where I had gotten that money. At 3 p.m., my family started arriving. First came my mother and father, Patricia and Robert Williams. My mother looked emotional, while my father was as serious and distant as ever. "Ashley, everything looks beautiful," my mother said, looking around. "But such an expensive place. Are you sure it was necessary?" "Mom, today is a special day. David and I are only going to get married once." My dad grumbled. "I hope we don't go into debt over this." My heart sank. My dad was always like this. He found a problem with everything, especially when it came to me. At 3:30, Madison and her husband Richard Peterson arrived. The moment I saw Madison, my heart skipped a beat. She looked stunning in her $5,000 Chanel dress, Louboutin shoes, and Cartier necklace. As always, she was trying to draw all the attention to herself. "Ashley," she exclaimed with a fake smile. "Wow, you picked a really nice place. I'm sure it was expensive, but—" "Hello, Madison," I said, hugging her. Richard was standing next to her. He was a real estate investor, and he and Madison made the perfect couple. Both of them loved money and status more than anything else. "Ashley, congratulations," Richard said, shaking my hand. "It's going to be a beautiful ceremony." Madison started looking around. "It's really beautiful, but Ashley, how much did all this cost?" "Madison," my mother began in a warning tone. "No, Mom, I'm just curious, because as far as I know, Ashley doesn't have a very high income. She's a secretary at the city hall, right?" I felt my heart sink. Yes, officially I worked as an administrative assistant at the city hall. But what Madison didn't know was that this job was just a cover. Everything is taken care of, Madison. Don't worry, I said quietly. Madison smiled, but it wasn't a genuine smile. Sure, I hope you didn't max out your credit cards. At 4 p.m., the other guests started arriving. David's family, our friends, my coworkers. Everyone looked so happy. But I felt terrible after Madison's comment. While I was getting ready in the bridal suite, my mom came over. Ashley, don't let Madison's words get to you. She just grew up in a different environment. Mom, I grew up in the same environment, but I never put anyone down.
My mom stroked my head. You've always been different, Ashley.
More sensitive, more thoughtful. Those words calmed me down a little, but the real problem remained. Madison would probably say similar things during the ceremony. The ceremony began at 5 o'clock. The garden looked breathtaking. The golden light of the sunset made everything look even more beautiful. 150 guests had taken their seats, and I was walking toward the altar on my father's arm. When I saw David, my heart raced. He looked so handsome, and the look of happiness on his face was genuine. This man truly loved me. Not my money, not my status, just me. The ceremony went beautifully. We read our vows, exchanged rings, and were finally married. The guests applauded, photos were taken, and the reception began. During dinner, everything returned to normal. A large tent had been set up, and the tables were elegantly decorated. The menu was perfect. Salmon, beef tenderloin, vegetarian options. Every detail was flawless. Madison was sitting at our table. Throughout the meal, she kept commenting on the expenses. Those flowers alone must have cost $10,000, she whispered to Richard, but loud enough for everyone to hear. Madison, please. My mother said. What's the big deal, Mom? I'm just observing. I'm just wondering where Ashley got all that money. David tensed up next to me. Madison, can we drop this subject? Madison smiled. Sure, David. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep an eye on my sister. At 8 o'clock, the speeches began. First my father spoke, then David's father, and then it was Madison's turn. When Madison stood up, I felt my stomach tighten. She was holding a piece of paper and looked very confident. Dear guests, she began, we are gathered here today for my sister Ashley's wedding. At least it was starting well. Ashley and I grew up together and I know her very well. She was always a dreamer. She had big dreams, but she paused and looked around. I started to get a bad feeling. But real life is different from dreams, isn't it? He continued. Ashley always dreamed of being rich and achieving great things. But as you can see, here she is, 32 years old, and still working as a secretary at the city hall. There was an uncomfortable silence among the guests. I was frozen next to David. Of course, that's not a bad thing, Madison added. Everyone has a role to play in life. Ashley's role is to do a modest but respectable job. The choice of words was carefully chosen. The word modest was particularly painful. But today is her happy day, and we're here to support her. Even though the cost of this wedding is a burden on our family, that was enough. I couldn't take it anymore. Madison continued. Our mom and dad made huge sacrifices for Ashley's big day. From the wedding dress to the venue, the food, the flowers, everything has strained our family budget. This was a complete lie. My family hadn't paid a single penny for the wedding. I had paid for everything. But that's what family is, isn't it? We support each other, we love our children equally, whether they are successful or not. The phrase failed child stabbed me in the heart. In front of 150 people on my wedding day, I was being called a failure. Speaking for myself, Madison continued, I'm trying to support our family with my job at the law firm. Ashley, on the other hand, earns enough to support herself. And that's more than enough. David squeezed my hand, feeling me start to tremble. Anyway, I won't drag this out. I wish Ashley and David all the best. I hope they pay off their debts quickly and build a happy life together. When Madison sat down, there was an awkward silence around us. Some guests didn't know what to say, while others looked clearly uncomfortable. I stood up. The microphone was trembling in my hand. Madison, thank you for this meaningful speech, I said, my voice cracking. Madison smiled proudly. But I need to make a correction. I continued. Madison's expression changed. Our family did not cover the costs of this wedding. They didn't pay a single penny. Now everyone at the tables was looking at us. I paid for everything, Madison, from the wedding dress to the venue, the food, the flowers, everything. Madison's face turned red. Ashley, what are you doing? In front of everyone. No, Madison, I said, my voice now stronger. I've been silent for 10 years. For 10 years. I've been treated like the failed sister. But enough is enough. I opened my bag and took out the envelope. I placed the check on the table. This, I said, is a check for $500,000, and this is just a portion of this month's earnings. The room fell completely silent. Madison's mouth dropped open when she saw the check. What I've been hiding for 10 years is this. Madison, I'm not just a secretary at the City Hall. I'm the founder and CEO of Williams Digital Solutions. This revelation was like a bombshell. Madison's face turned pale. My company works in digital marketing, and our annual revenue is $12 million. This year's net profit is $3.2 million. Even David was shocked. I hadn't told him about the true size of my company either. My job at the City Hall is just a front. Madison, my real work is at home, at the computer. I consult for e-commerce sites, manage Google and Facebook ads, and develop digital strategies for large companies. Madison spoke in a trembling voice. This isn't possible, Ashley. What about me, Madison? Am I a failure? Am I pathetic? Am I a burden to my family? I looked around the table at everyone and continued. The total cost of this wedding is $75,000. That's almost Madison's entire annual salary. But for me, it's just 2 months' earnings. Richard stared blankly at the check. Madison was still in shock. Why did I hide it? I asked rhetorically. Because I knew how money changes people. Because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not for my money. My mother looked at me with tears in her eyes. My father sat there silently. But I don't want to hide it anymore. Because today Madison called me a failure in front of 150 people. And that's unacceptable. Madison tried to stand up, but her legs were shaking. Ashley, No, Madison. You're not the only one. You deliberately tried to humiliate me. But what you didn't know was that I was far above your level. I took the check and placed it in front of Madison. This check is for you. $500,000. Consider it compensation for all the humiliation you've put me through. Madison's hands were shaking as she looked at the check. But there's one condition, I said. If you take this check, you will no longer be in my life. You won't be able to call me, visit me, or be present at family gatherings. The room was silent. The choice is yours, Madison. Either take the check and get out, or leave the check and apologize to me. In front of everyone, just like you humiliated me. Madison looked at the check, then at me, then back at the check. $500,000 was a lot of money to her, but it also meant severing family ties. Make your decision, Madison, I said coldly. But decide quickly, because the offer is only valid today. Madison's hand reached for the check. As Madison's hand reached for the check, the silence in the room was deafening. 50 guests watched this dramatic moment with bated breath. When Madison's fingers touched the check, she spoke in a trembling voice. Ashley, is this real? Is it really 500? Yes, Madison, and there's much more in the bank, I said in a cold voice. Madison took the check and examined it closely. When she realized it was real, her face completely changed. Her proud, arrogant expression gave way to shock and fear. I didn't know, Ashley. If I had known. What would you have done if you had known, Madison? Would you have respected me, or would you have chased after my money? David stood up beside me. Ashley, what's going on? Are you really a millionaire? I turned to him. There was confusion and a hint of sadness in his eyes. David, there was a reason I didn't tell you. I wanted you to love me for who I am, not for my money. But we're married, Ashley. How could you keep such a big secret? Richard, Madison's husband, stood up. Wait a minute, you said Williams Digital Solutions, right? That company is one of the biggest digital marketing firms I know. I nodded. Yes, Richard. Some of your clients are our clients too. Richard's mouth dropped open. Impossible. You're really the CEO of that company. I took my phone out of my bag and opened my company's website. My photo was on the homepage with the caption Ashley Williams, founder and CEO. If you don't believe me, you can Google it, Richard. I was also featured on Forbes 30 Under 30 list in My mom finally spoke up. Ashley, why didn't you ever tell us? Why did you keep it such a secret? I turned to her and felt tears welling up in my eyes. Because, Mom, I was the same Ashley before I was rich. But no one cared about me. Madison constantly belittled me. My dad never celebrated my achievements. And even you constantly compared me to Madison. My dad finally spoke. Ashley, if you're really that successful, why didn't you help us? The mortgage, Madison's education. This question drove me crazy. Dad, did you ever wonder what your 32-year-old daughter was doing? Did you ever try to talk to me about work? You know how much Madison makes, but you don't even ask me what I do. Madison was still holding the check. Ashley, this is too much money. I can't accept it. Why? Because you're starting to feel guilty? Or do you think $500,000 isn't enough for you? No, because you're my sister. And I hurt you. For the first time, I heard genuine remorse in Madison's voice. But it wasn't enough. Madison, you didn't just hurt me today. You've been hurting me for 10 years. At every family gathering, every phone call, every chance you get, you belittle me. David took my hand. Ashley, calm down. This is our wedding day. No, David. This isn't just our wedding day. This is the day the truth comes out. The day I've kept quiet for 10 years. I turned to the guests. You hear that too. From now on, there's no place in my life for Madison. If she takes that check, she's completely out of my life. If she doesn't, she'll apologize to me in front of everyone. Madison looked at the check, then at me. Ashley, is there a third option? No, Madison, the choice is yours. Richard came over to his wife. Madison, what are you going to do? Madison took a deep breath. She placed the check on the table. I won't take it, she said. The room fell silent. I won't take it because you're right, Ashley. I've always treated you badly. And today, on your wedding day, I humiliated you in front of everyone. She stood up and turned to me. Ashley, my sister, I beg you to forgive me. In front of everyone, just like I humiliated you. Her voice was trembling and there were tears in her eyes. You were never a failure. I was just jealous. You were always smarter, harder working, more creative. I was just the apple of the family's eye. This confession surprised me. I had never thought Madison was jealous. I work at a law firm, but I'm not really happy. It's a job I got because of my dad, and I've never been able to prove myself. You, on the other hand, started a company all by yourself, without anyone's help. Tears began to flow from her eyes. Ashley, I don't want you to forgive me because I don't deserve it. But I'm sorry, I'm truly, sincerely sorry. The living room was completely silent. I had never seen Madison like this before. So vulnerable, so honest. David whispered to me, Ashley, she really seems remorseful. My mother stood up. Ashley, maybe you can give Madison a chance? But I wasn't ready yet. 10 years of anger and disappointment couldn't be erased with a single apology. Madison, I said, your apology is accepted, but it doesn't fix everything. You've caused deep wounds in my life. It will take time for them to heal. Madison nodded. I understand. I'll wait. I took the check and put it in my bag. I'm going to donate this money to charity. Neither of us needs to use your money or mine. David finally spoke. Ashley, I'm still in shock. Are you really a millionaire, and why didn't you tell me? I turned to him. This was the hardest part. David, I'll tell you everything, but first, know this. I never deceived you. My love for you is real. Money has nothing to do with it. But Ashley, marriage is a partnership. How could you keep such a big secret? I took a deep breath. Because David, money changes people. You love me as Ashley, not as CEO Ashley. I didn't want to lose that. But I never loved you for your money. I know that. But I still couldn't take the risk. My father finally spoke. Ashley, if you're really that successful, why didn't you ever help us? Madison's college tuition, the mortgage. This question drove me crazy. Dad, you never celebrated my successes. When I graduated from college, you said good. When I started my job, you said, I hope it's permanent. You celebrated Madison's every little success, but you ignored my big ones. My father's face turned red. Ashley, Just what, Dad? Did you just love Madison? Did you just want her to be successful? My mother interrupted. Ashley, you always took care of yourself. Mom, when I was 22 and unemployed, you lent Madison $15,000 for her car. But when I asked for help, you said you need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. It was true, and everyone knew it. I had just started my company and really needed help, but no one believed in me. David squeezed my hand. Ashley, what happened back then? How did you start your company? I turned to the guests. Let me tell everyone my story. Maybe then you'll understand why I kept it so secret. I turned to the tables with the microphone. It was 2014. I was 22 years old and had just graduated from college. I was looking for a job but couldn't find one. I was applying for dozens of jobs every day and getting rejected. Everyone in the room was listening intently. That's when I learned you could make money online. You could do freelance work on platforms like Fiverr and Upwork. Madison was sitting there listening. My first job paid $5. I designed a logo for someone, $5. But that $5 was very valuable to me. David was surprised. Can you design? David, I studied computer engineering. I learned design, coding, marketing, everything. I continued. I made $200 in the first month, $500 in the second month, $1,000 in the third month. My father looked at me in disbelief. But no one took me seriously. They said, you can't make money online. Go find a real job, they said. My mom spoke up. Ashley, we were just worried. Mom, worrying is one thing, not supporting me is another. I showed you my earnings every month, but no one believed me. In 2015, I landed my first big client. I continued. I was going to run a marketing campaign for an e-commerce site. A $10,000 job. Madison was surprised.
Yes, Madison.
At 23 years old, on the computer at home, a $10,000 job. Richard asked, what did you do with the money? I invested half in the company and gave half to my family, because at the time I was still living with my family and wanted to contribute. My father was surprised. Which money? Dad, I gave $5,000 to the family in 2015. My mom said, the money you got from Richard. I didn't correct her. This explanation shocked everyone. Because no one believed I made that much money. David asked, what happened next? In 2016, I officially founded the company Williams Digital Solutions. In the first year, I made $50,000 in revenue. Madison held her breath. In 2017, $2,000. In 2018, $500,000. In 2019, $1 million. I watched everyone's expressions as I gave the numbers. This year, our revenue will be $12 million. We have 15 employees, and our office is in Santa Monica. David was completely stunned. You have 15 employees? Yes, David. And you don't know any of them because I run my business from home. My mom asked, what about your job at the city hall? Mom, my job at the city hall is part-time. I work 20 hours a week and donate my salary to a charity. This last statement shocked everyone. Why are you working this job? My dad asked. Because I wanted to look normal. I wanted people to see me as hardworking Ashley, not the rich girl. Madison finally spoke up. Ashley, while you were doing all this, I was looking down on you. Yes, Madison. While you were calling me failure, I was earning 40 times your salary. Richard asked, who are your clients? Richard, some of the companies you consult for are our clients. Nike, Samsung, Mercedes-Benz. Richard was speechless. But I always kept it a secret, because I knew how money changes people. David held my hand. Ashley, I never loved you for your money. I know, David, you loved me as Ashley, not as the CEO. That's why I chose you. My mother started crying. Ashley, we were so unfair to you. Mom, the past is the past. But from now on, everything will be different. Madison stood up. Ashley, I'm really sorry. How can I make it up to you? I looked at her. She looked truly remorseful. Madison, the only way to make it up to me is to respect me from now on. Not with money, but with your character. I promise, said Madison. David asked, so what happens now? How will our married life change? David, nothing will change. I'm still the same, Ashley. I just won't live in secret anymore. My father stood up. Ashley, I'm proud of you. I should have said that a long time ago. Those words moved me. I had been waiting for years to hear the words "I'm proud of you" from my father's mouth. Thank you, Dad, but that pride came 10 years too late. Richard asked, Ashley, can we invest in you? I laughed. Richard, I don't need an investor anymore, but I'd like some advice. Madison asked one last question. Ashley, will you really forgive me? I looked at her. This time she seemed sincere. Madison, I want to forgive you, but trust takes time to rebuild. She nodded. I understand. I'll wait. David stood up with the microphone. Dear guests, we've learned a lot tonight. We've learned how strong and successful my Ashley is. The guests began to clap. But most importantly, we learned how humble she is. Because she hid all her achievements and managed to make people love her. The applause grew louder. Ashley, you're not just my wife. You're also my inspiration. David kissed me, and the applause reached its peak. Madison came over to me. Ashley, will you dance with me? This was an unexpected request. Madison, please, as sisters, one last time. One last time? No, what I mean is, as a new beginning. She extended her hand. I took it. We went to the dance floor. The song Sister was playing. What a coincidence. As we danced, Madison whispered, Ashley, you've always been stronger than me. I was jealous of that. Madison, strength isn't about money. I know, you proved that today. You stayed humble despite your wealth. As the dance ended, she hugged me tightly. I know you need time to forgive me, but I'll wait. During the rest of the wedding, everyone wanted to talk to me, people asking for business cards, inquiring about investment opportunities, offering partnerships, but I was only focused on David. This was his night too. The wedding ended at midnight. As the guests left, everyone said goodbye to me. Madison was the last to leave. Ashley, she said, can I call you tomorrow? Madison, I told you I'd give you time. Don't rush. Okay, but I want you to know, you taught me a lesson today, and I'll never forget it. After Madison and Richard left, David and I stayed in our room. Ashley, David said, I'm still in shock. Are you really a millionaire? Yes, David, and it doesn't change anything. But it does. How are we going to make plans now? A house, children, the future. David, I loved you despite your modest salary. You didn't love me for my money. That's enough. David hugged me. Ashley, I love you just the way you are, but it will take time for me to process this information. I understand. It took me 10 years to process it. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about it. Today, my 10-year-old secret had been revealed. The issues between Madison and me had been resolved, at least for now. Despite the shock, David still loved me. But the real story was just beginning, because now I would have to live with my true identity. A week after the wedding, David and I were on our honeymoon in Hawaii, but David was still trying to process the fact that I was a millionaire. Ashley, he said, sitting on the terrace of our luxury hotel in Maui, did you pay for this hotel? I laughed. David, is this really bothering you? It's not bothering me, but I'm trying to adjust. Last night, I saw your photo in Forbes magazine. Actually, I did appear in Forbes in 2019. I said with a smile. David spilled his coffee on the floor. You're joking.
I took out my phone and showed him the article.
Forbes 30 under 30, marketing and advertising category. David read the article with his mouth open. Ashley Williams, 27, founded Williams Digital Solutions in 2016 and has grown it to a $2 million annual revenue company. Those are the 2019 numbers, I said. It's much bigger now. David put down the phone. Ashley, I still can't accept the fact that I'm married to you. David, I'm still the same woman, just with a different bank account. That day, while walking on a beach in Hawaii, David asked me to tell him the story of my company in detail. It all started in 2014. I began. I had just graduated from college but couldn't find a job. I was sending out dozens of resumes every day. David listened carefully. At the time, I was helping my mom at home. Madison was in college, and all the money was going to her. I was an unpaid intern. An unpaid intern? Where? At a small advertising agency. I worked 8 hours a day, but didn't get paid. They said, "You're gaining experience." David shook his head. Classic exploitation. One day, while I was idle at the office, I discovered the Fiverr website. People were paying for small jobs, logo design, website creation, social media. Did you start right away? Yes, my first service was professional logo design. David laughed. $5? $5, and my first client was a coffee shop owner named Tony Martinez. He's still my client. Are you serious? Yes. Now he has 5 branches, and we handle all their digital marketing. He pays us $15,000 a month. David was amazed. From 5. In the first month, I only had 3 clients. I made $15, but I saw that as a huge success. What did your family say? My mom said, "You can't make money online." My dad said, "Stop wasting your time." Madison said, "Sis, you're so naive." David felt sorry for her. They didn't support you. None of them did, but I kept going. The second month I made $50, the third month, we sat on the beach and I kept going. In the 6th month, my first big job came in, a full digital marketing campaign for an e-commerce site. Wow, I was so happy when I got that money, but when I got home, no one cared. Madison was talking about the new shoes she bought. David held my hand. That must have been tough. The hardest part was staying motivated. I couldn't share my successes with anyone. So how did you grow? In 2015, I changed my strategy. Instead of just designing logos, I started offering full digital marketing services. How did you learn all that? YouTube, Udemy, Coursera. I watched 3-4 hours of lessons every night. Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO, content marketing. David was impressed. That's incredible discipline. By the end of 2015, I was making $3,000 a month, but I was still living at home, and no one took me seriously. Why didn't you move out? Because I was investing the money back into the company. Better computers, software, advertising budget. Smart move. In 2016, I made a big decision. I was going to officially start the company, Williams Digital Solutions. David asked, "Where did the name come from?" Williams is my last name, and Digital Solutions explains what we do. Simple, but effective. Was it hard to start the company? Setting up an LLC in California was relatively easy. An $800 fee, a lawyer, an accountant, total cost. What did your family say? They didn't say anything because I didn't tell them. I laughed. David laughed too. Of course. In the first half of 2016, I made a big breakthrough. I took over the entire digital marketing for a real estate company. How much did you make? A 6-month contract. David held his breath. Wow. But the real turning point came at the end of that year. I ran a marketing campaign for a startup, and the company was sold. Did you get a share? No, but the investors who saw me started referring other companies to me. The network started growing. David asked, "Did your family still not know?" Madison started to get suspicious by the end of 2016. I was always buying new clothes, drinking expensive coffee. What did you tell her? I'm making money from freelance work, I said. Technically, it wasn't a lie. When we returned to the hotel that evening, David was curious about the company's current status. Ashley, how many employees do you have right now? 15 full-time employees. 8 are in the Santa Monica office and 7 work remotely. What's the office like? I showed him photos on my phone. A modern, open-plan office with glass walls and a game area. Is this real? David asked. Yes. We moved there in 2019. Before that, we were renting desks at WeWork. What are the salaries like for the employees? The lowest salary is $65,000 a year. Senior specialists make $100,000. David was surprised. You make $35,000 at the city government. Yes, I laughed. That's why I donate my salary to a charity. Which charity? A foundation that supports young entrepreneurs, especially women. David kissed me. You're an incredible woman. Ashley. That evening at dinner, David asked, "So, who's your biggest client?" "Nike," I said simply. David dropped his fork. "Did you say Nike?" "Yes. We started managing their digital campaigns in 2020. The annual contract is $2.8 million. Ashley, you're joking. David, I never joke about business. What other big brands do you have? Samsung, Mercedes-Benz, Airbnb, Tesla. David put his head in his hands. Who am I married to? I laughed. You're married to me, David. The same Ashley. The next day, Madison called me. She knew we were in Hawaii. Ashley, I'm sorry if I'm bothering you, but can we talk? Sure, Madison. What's going on? I want to apologize to you, again. The more I think about it, the more I realize how badly I treated you. There was genuine remorse in her voice. Madison, I already said I accepted your apology. I know, but it's not enough. I feel ashamed when I think about how I treated you. David was listening beside me. Madison, the past is the past. What matters is what happens from now on. Ashley, I want to tell you something. I spoke with Richard at my office yesterday. We did some research on your company. Yes? Ashley, you're a very successful woman. There are articles about you in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and TechCrunch. Of course I knew that. Madison, why are you telling me this? Because I realize how blind I've been. While you were doing all this, I saw you as a failure. There were tears in her voice. Madison. No, Ashley, listen to me. You started a company at 28, became a millionaire at 30, a multi-millionaire at 32, and I'm still working at my dad's law firm. Madison, everyone has their own path. But I made fun of yours. While you were making millions, I accused you of being poor. David looked at me. I didn't know what to say to Madison. Madison, you're sorry, I understand. But that doesn't change the past. I know, but I want to change, Ashley. I really want to change. How? First, I want to learn something from you. Why have you stayed so humble despite being so successful? That was a good question. Because, Madison, money shouldn't change who you are. I'm still the same, Ashley, just with a different bank account. But why didn't you tell us that? Because I knew how money can change people. David loved me when I had nothing, and that's how you all knew me. Madison was silent. If I had told you 5 years ago, would David's intentions have been pure? Would you have truly respected me, or would you have chased after my money? I understand, Madison said softly. Madison, if you really want to change, you need to change the way you think about money. How? Money is a tool, not a goal. I use money to be happy, not to buy happiness. Madison listened. You, on the other hand, have always seen money as a status symbol. You look down on me because I had less money than you. You're right, Ashley, I was very wrong. Madison, if you really want to change, you need to reevaluate your values. How can I do that? Stop spending money for a while. Only buy what you need, and judge people by their character, not their money. Madison promised. I'll try, Ashley. I really will. After hanging up, David asked, Do you believe her? I don't know, David, but it's worth a try. When we returned from our honeymoon, my life had completely changed. I was finally living as my true self. My first task was to show David my office in Santa Monica. Ashley, this is incredible, David exclaimed as he entered the office. My employees were surprised to see me. They knew me as the CEO, but they didn't know I was married. Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to my husband, David, I said. Everyone applauded. My marketing director, Sarah Johnson, came over to me. Ashley, why didn't you ever mention your husband? Because I like to keep my private life private, I said with a smile. David was amazed by everything as he toured the office. The meeting rooms, the design studio, the game room. Ashley, your employees really love you, he said. Because I value them. Good salaries, health insurance, flexible working hours. Are you really a good boss? I hope so. Because happy employees do better work. That evening, David and I talked at home. Ashley, what's going to happen now? How will our lives change? David, nothing will change. We'll live in the same house, live the same life.
But you're a millionaire.
A big house, expensive cars. David, I'm already happy. Money can't buy more happiness. David hugged me. You're truly a special woman, Ashley. A week later, Madison called again. Ashley, I have a favor to ask you. What is it, Madison? Can I work at your company? This was an unexpected request. Madison, you're a lawyer? Why do you want to work at a marketing company? Because I want to learn from you. How did you become so successful? How did you become a leader? Madison, you have no experience in this field. I know, but I'm ready to learn. I can start from the lowest position. David was surprised beside me. Madison, are you serious? Are you willing to take a pay cut? Ashley, I don't want to work for money. I want to learn from you. This was really surprising. Madison, if you really want to, you can start as a junior marketing assistant, but you'll have to treat me like an employee, not your sister. Of course. When can I start? Come in on Monday and we'll talk to Sarah. After hanging up, David asked, Are you sure about this decision? No, I said honestly, but maybe Madison really wants to change. On Monday, Madison came to the office. She looked very different. She was dressed simply, wore a little makeup, and seemed modest. I introduced her to Sarah. Madison, are you Ashley's sister? Wow. Yes, but just think of me as an employee here, said Madison. This attitude was a good start. On her first day, Madison asked questions about everything. The company's history, customers, projects. Ashley, how do you organize all this? She asked. Madison, here you will call me Miss Williams, not Ashley, I said. Madison understood. Okay, Miss Williams. During the first week, Madison worked very hard. She came early, left late, and did everything with care. Sarah told me, Ashley, Madison is really working hard. I'm surprised. Let's see how long it lasts, I said. But Madison kept going. The second week, the third week, she never complained, never acted arrogant, and remained humble. A month later, Madison took me out to dinner. Ashley, I want to thank you. For what? For giving me a chance. I've learned so much in this month.
What did you learn?
How to earn money, what it means to work hard, and most importantly, humility. She really seemed like a different person. Madison, you're really different now. Ashley, ever since I started working at your company, I've learned something new from you every day. How you talk to customers, how you solve problems, how you motivate the team. Thank you, Madison. I should be thanking you. You gave me a second chance. That evening, I told David about Madison. She really seems like a different person, I said. Do you believe her? I'm starting to believe her. 3 months later, Madison got a promotion. She became a marketing coordinator. Sarah was always praising her. Ashley, Madison is really talented. She learns quickly and comes up with creative ideas. That was nice to hear. 6 months later, Madison called me. Ashley, can we talk? It's personal. Sure, Madison. What's going on? I'm thinking about breaking up with Richard. This was shocking. Why, Madison? Because he hasn't changed, Ashley. You've changed, I've changed, but he still wants the old Madison. What do you mean? He still wants the old Madison who loved money, status, and show, but I'm not that woman anymore. This was a huge development. Madison, are you sure about this decision? Yes, Ashley. For the first time in my life, I know what I want. What do you want? To do meaningful work, to grow as a person, and to build real relationships. Madison had truly changed. Ashley, there's something else I want to tell you. What? You're my role model now, not just my sister, but my leader. Those words really moved me. Madison, I want to be like you, Ashley. Strong, independent, successful, but also humble and kind. That night, I told David everything. Ashley, Madison has really changed. It's incredible. Yes, David. People can change. You gave her that chance. That was a very kind thing to do. Everyone deserves a second chance, David. A year later, Madison really did break up with Richard. She became the marketing manager at our company. She was now my right-hand person. And most importantly, we were truly siblings now. Not because of money, but because of love. 2 years later, in the fall of 2025, I was experiencing one of the proudest moments of my life. We were opening the second office of Williams Digital Solutions in Los Angeles, and on this big day, my family, David, and most importantly, Madison, were by my side. "Ashley Williams, please come to the stage," the speaker announced. As I walked toward the microphone in front of a crowd of 50 guests, I remembered my wedding day. The same confidence, the same determination, but this time, I had nothing to hide. "Dear friends, clients, and team members," I began. "Today we are not just opening a new office. We are celebrating the journey of Williams Digital Solutions from a dream to reality." Madison was sitting in the front row. Now, as the marketing director of my company, there was pride in her eyes, and this time it was genuine. This company started in 2014 with a $5 logo design. Today it's a family of 35 employees with annual revenue exceeding $25 million. Amid the applause, I saw David. He was now the CFO of my company. Yes, David had left his job at the city government to work with me. "But our most important achievement isn't the numbers," I continued. "Our most important achievement is the real connections we've built with each other." Madison stood up and began to applaud. The others joined in. 2 years ago on this stage, I revealed a big secret. Today I'm going to reveal a new secret to you. The room fell silent. Williams Digital Solutions is no longer just a marketing company. It is also becoming a platform that supports young entrepreneurs. This announcement came as a shock. We are establishing a foundation called the Williams Foundation. Every year we will provide mentoring, funding, and technical support to 50 young entrepreneurs. David smiled proudly. We had developed this project together, because I was once a young girl whom no one believed in, and I know there are thousands of young people out there chasing their dreams like I did. Madison wiped her eyes. She would be the co-director of the foundation, the first recipient of our foundation's scholarship. I paused and looked at Madison. "Will be my sister, Madison Williams. She's going to start her own marketing agency." This announcement surprised everyone, especially Madison. Madison stood up in shock. "Ashley, Madison, you've shown me who you are for the past 2 years. It's time to spread your wings and fly on your own." Madison came up to me with the microphone on stage. 2 years ago, this woman stood me up at my wedding with a $500,000 check," she said, her voice trembling. The room laughed. "I didn't take the check because I realized I needed her love more than her money." Madison turned to me. "Ashley, you're not just my sister. You're my mentor, my friend, and my biggest inspiration." I hugged her tightly. "And now you're supporting me in starting my own agency. What a big heart you have." Madison's new agency would be called Authentic Marketing Solutions. It would focus on small businesses and adopt an honest marketing approach. After the speeches, my mom and dad came over to me during the cocktail hour. "Ashley," my mother said, tears in her eyes, "you have no idea how proud we are of you." My father also spoke. "Ashley, I've been unfair to you for years, but today I see that you've achieved so much more than we ever could." "Dad, the past is the past. What matters is now and the future." "No, Ashley," my father said firmly. "What matters is that I apologize. I always underestimated you and favored Madison. I admit it, and I'm sorry." Hearing these words from my father's mouth moved me deeply. "Dad, you can change too, just like Madison. It's not too late." That evening, David and I were sitting at home. We now had a modest house with a view of the ocean in Santa Monica. "Ashley," David said, "I was so proud of you today." "Why, David?" "Because you gave Madison that opportunity. That's incredibly generous." "David, Madison deserved it. She's worked hard for 2 years and she's really changed. But there's also a risk. What if she fails? Then we'll give her another chance." That's what family is for. David kissed me. "You're truly a special woman, Ashley Williams Rodriguez." Yes, I had changed my last name after marriage. A month later, Madison opened her own office. It was small but stylish in Santa Monica. Her first clients had already started coming in. "Ashley," Madison said as she walked around her office, "this doesn't feel real." "Why, Madison?" "Because 2 years ago I was so embarrassed in front of you. Now I have my own company." Madison, you deserve this. You worked so hard. Ashley, I want to tell you something.
What?
You didn't just teach me how to work, you taught me how to live. How so? You taught me that money is a tool, not a goal. You taught me to respect people, and most importantly, you taught me to be humble. Madison had tears in her eyes. Ashley, I'm a different person now, and it's all because of you. Madison, you were already a good person. You were just focused on the wrong values. Ashley, I promise you, Authentic Marketing Solutions won't just be successful, it will also be an ethical company. And Madison kept her word. 6 months later, the agency had gained 12 clients, all small businesses. Madison was truly adding value to them. One day, Madison called me. Ashley, there's incredible news. What happened, Madison? Authentic Marketing Solutions made it onto Forbes' Best Small Agencies list. This was truly incredible. Madison, that's amazing. How did you do it? I applied what you taught me. I added real value to my clients, acted with integrity, and thought long-term. Madison was now truly successful, but this time she wasn't happy for the money. She was happy because she was doing meaningful work. At the beginning of 2026, David and I shared some big news. I was pregnant. Ashley, David said, looking at the ultrasound photo. Our child is so lucky. Why, David? Because his mother is the strongest and kindest woman in the world. Madison went crazy when she heard the news. Ashley, I'm going to be an aunt. This is so exciting. Madison, you'll be an amazing aunt. Ashley, I know you'll be such a humble mother. Money won't spoil her.
Of course, Madison.
Money is a tool. The child's happiness is the goal. 9 months later, our daughter Emma Williams Rodriguez was born. And Madison kept her word. She became an amazing aunt. With Emma's birth, a new dimension entered our lives. Now I didn't just have my company and my family, I also had a legacy to leave for future generations. One evening, we were holding Emma and talking with David. Ashley, David said, what will we teach Emma when she grows up? David, we'll teach her the most important lesson. Success isn't about money, it's about happiness. But she'll grow up in a wealthy family. Yes, but she'll grow up with humble values. Money will be her tool, not her goal. Madison was playing with Emma at home at the time. Ashley, Madison said, can I teach Emma something too? Of course, Madison. What do you want to teach her? I want to teach her how to fail and get back up again. This was a very meaningful offer. Madison, you're the best example of that. Yes, I fell, but you reached out to me. Now I want to reach out to others. Madison had truly changed. She was no longer just successful, but also productive and selfless. In 2027, the Williams Foundation achieved its first major success. Of the 50 young entrepreneurs we supported, 35 went on to start successful companies. Ashley, said Jessica Chen, the foundation's director, this statistic is well above the industry average. Why are we successful, Jessica? Because we don't just give money, we also provide mentorship, guidance, and emotional support. This approach was my philosophy. Money alone wasn't enough. People needed to be developed as well. Madison's agency continued to grow. It now had 8 employees and was recognized as one of the most ethical marketing agencies in Los Angeles. Ashley, Madison said one evening over dinner, I'm earning less than you now, but I'm much happier.
Why, Madison?
Because the work I do is meaningful. I'm adding real value to my clients, and my employees are happy. Madison, you've learned the true meaning of success. You taught me, Ashley. When Emma turned 2, I decided to give her her first lesson about money. Emma, I said while she was playing with toy money, what is money for? Emma thought about it. To buy toys? Yes, but is that all? I don't know, Mom. Emma, money is also used to help people, to heal sick people, build schools for poor children, care for the elderly. Emma listened intently. Mom, do we help people too? Yes, Emma, we help young people through our foundation. Can I help too? Of course, Emma. When you grow up, you'll be able to help even more. David smiled as he listened to the conversation. Ashley, Emma is so lucky to have a mom like you. That year, Williams Digital Solutions revenue exceeded $50 million. We were now one of the largest independent marketing agencies in California.
But my real success wasn't the numbers. My real success was my relationship with Madison.
Ashley, Madison said on Emma's second birthday, I want to tell you something. What? Madison? I don't envy you anymore. That simple sentence meant so much. Why, Madison? Because I have my own success now. I have my own identity. And most importantly, I have my own happiness. Madison had truly changed. She no longer sought my approval. She knew her own worth. Madison, you're the real Madison now. Yes, Ashley, and it's all thanks to you. In 2028, we made a big decision. We would distribute 30% of Williams Digital Solutions to our employees as shares. Ashley, said David, are you sure about this decision? That's a lot of money. David, money multiplies when it's shared. It diminishes when it's hoarded.
What do you mean?
If my employees own the company, they'll work harder, be more creative, and the company will grow even more.
And I was right.
After the stock distribution, the company's performance increased by. Madison also adopted the same approach in her own company. Ashley, she said, you didn't just teach me marketing, you taught me leadership. That year, 3 years later, we had our first family dinner. My mom, Dad, Madison, Richard, they had reconciled, David, Emma, and me. Ashley, my mom said as we sat at the table, I don't know how these 3 years went by. A lot has changed, Mom. Yes, but the most important thing is that you haven't changed. What do you mean? You've always been the same, Ashley. Humble, kind, thoughtful. My dad chimed in, Ashley, success hasn't gone to your head. Because, Dad, I don't measure success by money. I measure it by happiness. Madison spoke up. Ashley, you taught me the most important lesson. You taught me how to be human. Emma was sitting on Madison's lap at the time and said, Aunt Madison. Emma, said Madison, when you grow up, do you want to be like your mom? Emma thought about it. Yes, Mom is good. Everyone laughed. David spoke. Ashley, you're not just Emma's mom, you're also our teacher. That evening, before going to bed, we were sitting on the terrace with David. Ashley, David said, is there anything you regret? Regret? I thought. Yes. Living in such secrecy, what you went through with Madison, the issues with your family. David, the only thing I regret is… What is it? Not revealing my secrets sooner. Maybe I would have made up with Madison sooner, and we would have spent more time together. But would it have meant as much? David was right. Everything had its time. Ashley, David said, you are my greatest treasure. Why, David? Because you taught me what true love is. Unconditional, sincere, selfless. I kissed David. David, you taught me the same thing. That night, I went to Emma's room. She was asleep, but I sat down next to her. Emma, I said quietly, when you grow up, I have so many stories to tell you. Emma smiled in her sleep. I'll tell you that money is a tool. Happiness is the goal. I'll teach you that success multiplies when shared. And most importantly, I'll show you that family is the greatest wealth. I kissed Emma's forehead. Good night, my princess. When you grow up, you'll make the world a better place. The next morning, Madison called. Ashley, Forbes is going to call me. They're giving me the Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. Madison, that's amazing. Ashley, if I win this award, I'll mention you in the interview. Why Madison? Because without you, I wouldn't be here. Madison won the award and really mentioned me in the interview. Behind my success is my sister Ashley Williams, she said. She didn't just teach me marketing, she taught me life. Reading that interview made me very emotional. Now, in 2029, Emma is 3 years old, and Madison's agency is a medium-sized company with 20 employees. Williams Digital Solutions is a large agency with 80 employees. But my most important achievement isn't the numbers. My most important achievement is making peace with Madison, the family I built with David, and the values I will pass on to Emma. On my wedding day, when I placed the $500,000 check on the table, I just wanted to shock Madison, but that moment was actually the beginning of a new life. The most important thing I've learned since that day is this: money is power, but true power lies in how you use it. I used my money to multiply love. I gave Madison a second chance, experienced true love with David, and prepared a valuable future for Emma. And now I know that true wealth isn't in your bank account, it's in your heart. Madison was right that day. Money is a tool, not a goal. I used that tool correctly. And as a result, I'm not just a millionaire, I'm a billion times happier.